But one thing we have to talk about here, and I think it's an important topic to talk about. Like, I would love to not talk about this, but we're discussing basketball, and we have to discuss the basketball of this. Like, are the 2026 Indiana Fever without with Stephanie White coaching, with their current roster, better without Caitlin Clark? I don't like. I hate saying this, but my answer is no. They're not better, but they're like 1% worse. They 180 how they play, and it is very clear that when the Fever succeed with Caitlin Clark, it's because they've gone rogue. Like, if they succeed with Caitlin, it is normally because the players have gone rogue, they've done what they've wanted themselves, and they've just out talented the other team. Because the Steph White system and Caitlin Clark are like oil and water. They don't mix. They don't mix. And like, I personally think that, yes, you build a team around Caitlin Clark. It's idiotic not to build a team around Caitlin Clark. I think that I can make that statement, but the Indiana Fever did not build a team around Caitlin Clark. They did not build a coach. They did not build a roster around Caitlin. They do not have a coach to build around Caitlin. They've already not built around Caitlin Clark. It's like if you draft, I'm just trying to think off the top of my head. Someone used the description for American football. It's like if you had Tom Brady and you decided to have a run everything offense. It's like if you drafted Allen Iverson and you wanted to turn Allen Iverson into you show Allen Iverson old Bob Cousy tape, or like you wanted to turn him into a post passing point guard, like fucking Kenny Smith, where their job is to pass the ball into the post and that's it. And the problem with Stephanie White's system is that the point guard's role is this. If you watched The Sun, the point guard's role is to get the ball to the elbow. And if you can't get in, and then relocate to catch the ball again and then swing it. That is what the point guard's role is. And like, I wish I could say like, oh yeah, it's a different thing. But like, this is literally how Steph White wants her point guards to play. And obviously Steph White is not making Caitlin Clark play like this. Caitlin Clark is going again, like Stephanie White her system is not going to work with Caitlin because this is what she wants her point guard to do. So let's draw it out the usual. Draw out the half court here. The purpose, let's say bang, bang, everything's 3 out, 2 in. Everything is 3 out, 2 in. It's literally just this. You get the ball here, there's a relocation, maybe a back cut, and you relocate. And then you go get the ball back. A lot of the time this player comes here, you get the ball to here. These players come up, they cut, they just kind of run in circles. But your job is basically just to facilitate that. Your job is to get the ball moving side to side so that other players can kind of get around side to side. Or again, if the ball goes to here, a lot of the times Aaliyah is going to come up and set the screen while this player comes around here. And this player kind of looks for a cut, or while this player kind of relocates. Your job is kind of to do nothing. Your job is to always be the release pass, to not turn the ball over, to just kind of pass it side to side, and if you're open, shoot it. Like, that's what Steph White wants her point guard to do, and there's nothing wrong with that from a coaching perspective. Like, there's actually not. Like, if we take away who the players are, if every one of these players didn't have a name and they were all just green blobs, or they were all just like John Smiths, they're all those bald white guys you have in squads in 2K. Like, a system that relies on gunners and point centers and offensive and big men offensive hubs You don't add a ball dominant point guard into that system and expect it to work. Like the ball is dominated in Stephanie White's system by the elbow big, which is Alyssa Thomas, and the gunner, which is Kelsey Mitchell, or was DeWanna Bonner. Steph White's system is dominated by the gunner and the big, which is very clear. That's what the Fever are doing. As the reason why the Fever are still pretty damn good without it, because the team is built to run Stephanie White's system without Caitlin Clark. And I said this coming into the year. The Indiana Fever built a team to survive without Caitlin Clark. The Fever built a team to thrive without Caitlin Clark. They did not build a team around Caitlin Clark. And by the way, I think that's idiotic. I think if the Indiana Fever built, this right here. If you gave Caitlin Clark the keys and you brought in a coach who was going to build on what build on what Christy Sides did and be an actual basketball coach, and put in a fast-paced up and down system, and just made them slightly better on defense, and building around their old big three, they'd be the best team in the league. But the problem is with Stephanie White and Caitlin Clark, they're the 7th best team in the league. Let's just say with Caitlin Clark and Stephanie White, they're the 5th best team in the league. Without Caitlin Clark and Stephanie White, they're still probably the 5th or 6th best team in the league. In Stephanie White's system, Caitlin Clark's so good at basketball that her going rogue still makes this team better. Her going rogue. But her going rogue does not make this team enough better to justify the trade value Caitlin has versus the impact Caitlin has on winning. Like, if we're talking about pure winning, because obviously there's the monetary reasons and stuff, and we're not talking about that here. We're talking pure basketball. And you can't even say where it's like, James Harden never won a championship. Yeah, it's because it's his fault the Warriors formed a super team. Like, it's like blaming Caitlin Clark if Caitlin's Fever suddenly become the best team in the league, and then the Liberty sign AJ Wilson, Jackie Young, or sign AJ Wilson, Paige Bueckers, and fucking keep Stewie. Like, she's not going to win a ring. Like, he was about to win a ring in 2021. He got injured. Like, him and Kyrie got injured. Like, we got to be very clear. James Harden not winning a ring was nothing to do with James Harden's play style. He could have been the opposite player and he was never winning a ring. But it's very different that the Fever are a solid team and Caitlin Clark's a high-risk, high-reward player. She's a high-risk, high-reward player, and the Indiana Fever and Stephanie White are risk-averse. Stephanie White's system is a risk-averse. We're going to make tough shots and we're going to drag you into a dogfight system. That's what she wants to do. Caitlin Clark doesn't want to do that. And if we're being real here, like, pure basketball-wise, they're going to be bad next year. If Caitlin Clark is on that team, they're going to be bad next year. And if Stephanie White's coaching, they're going to be bad. Caitlin Clark, Aaliyah Boston, Lexi Hull, Monique Billings, Raven Johnson as the 5, and a whole bench of minimum contract players, and they might not even be able to afford their first-round pick. They might have to Golden State Valkyries give away their first-round pick because they might not be able to afford their first-round pick. That is not a good team. That is a 7th seed. That's a 7th seed team. Replace Caitlin with Kelsey Mitchell and add in potentially the number 1 overall pick, 2 or 3 good young assets on bargain deals, and 2 future firsts on, and again, keeping them on bargain deals and keeping a little bit more flexibility. That's an equivalent team, especially in Steph's system. and as an equivalent team, and you have future assets, it does not make sense for the Indiana Fever to continue to keep Stephanie White as a coach and keep Caitlin Clark as a player. It doesn't make sense. It does not make sense. Because we've got a situation where it's not fair on the player and it's not fair on the coach. Like, it's not fair on either. The coach can't do what she wants to do because the best player on the team, it doesn't fit with the best player on the team. And the player can't play her game because the coach wants to do something the complete opposite. It's not fair on either. You care about winning and championships, then trade Caitlin Clark. Like, I don't think people understand. The Indiana Fever are significantly closer to winning a championship by trading Caitlin Clark. Why? Because you trade Caitlin Clark, you keep Kelsey Mitchell for the next 3 years, and then you're able to get a whole bunch of assets for Caitlin. If you keep Caitlin Clark on an epic and sign her for a max, you're basically relying on your overseas scouting, your drafting. The fact no players will ever take a pay cut to come to Indiana. If you want to win a title, the way things are right now, you trade Caitlin Clark. Why? Because you can't wait it out either. You can't wait it out for 3 or 4 more years because the Seattle Storm currently employ Awa Pham and Dominique Malonga. And they're possibly going to get a top 3 pick this year. They employ Awa Pham and Malonga. They employ who very well could be the best 4 and 5 in the league by the time they hit the age where they'd be like rookies. Like, they're about 20. They're about 20. They're 20. You're saying, you do realize people saying Caitlin's not a winner. The only person who's won a title on this team is Maisha Allen, right? But yeah, look, it is what it is. Like, I think it's unfair. It's unfair to both Caitlin Clark and Stephanie White to just stick with what isn't going to work. And I get it, play out the year. But it's like, do you fuck up your team long term? Because you've already done it. The Mo Billings, Lexi Hull contracts were disastrous. They were disastrous. I don't care about what Caitlin Clark wants and needs. I'm talking about basketball. I'm not talking about Caitlin Clark, the human being. Like, I'm sorry. We got to talk basketball, not take a player's feelings into account. Do you think the Celtics took Jaylen Brown's feelings into account when they traded him? No, they didn't. Like, what are we doing? No one's going to give the Fever Kings ransom. No, it's 4 young assets. And none of which being current young all-stars. As in, you're not getting Citron, you're not getting Kiki, you're not getting... Maybe if you go straight up for one of those, you might. But, like, you're not getting... If you go to Seattle, you're probably getting Flau'jae and 2 firsts. Like, it's that type of a trade. So you're getting a good ransom, but you're not getting, like, what the Sky gave up from Marina Mabry. But, yeah, it is what it is.